am so excited, and let me tell you why. Next week, Creep Week is happening. That is a series that I started on my channel ages ago. I think almost 2 years ago now, and I love that series so much. Every week leading up to Halloween, we talk about a paranormal or a true crime case that occurred around Halloween. Hey, it's Mel, hope you're doing well, and if you're new to the channel, welcome. Today we're going to be looking at the case of the deadly Dr. Thomas Neill Cream, who was a serial killer. He killed 10 people in 3 countries with a poison called, sorry in advance if I mispronounce this, strychnine. He was known as the Lambeth poisoner. There's a lot to cover, so let's get into it. Thomas Neill Cream was born on the 27th of May 1850 in Glasgow. He was a Scottish-Canadian medical doctor. Not much is known about his family, which I kind of found odd because most serial killers have a background. I like to give a little bit of information about their childhood because it can explain a lot about them. In 1876, while living in Waterloo, Quebec, Thomas met Flora Brooks and they quickly began a relationship. A few months later, Flora fell pregnant and Thomas attempted an abortion, but it failed, leaving her really sick. Thomas tried to escape to Montreal but was caught by Flora's dad, who forced him to return and marry her. The couple married on the 11th of September 1876. The day after the wedding, Thomas left for England to continue his medical education. The Brooks family never saw or heard from him again. Flora died in 1877 of consumption. In 1878, Thomas established a medical practice in London. And because he was a doctor, a lot of people obviously trusted him because why wouldn't you? He's a doctor, he's meant to help you. No one would ever suspect him of being a serial killer. He was charged under Ontario's Medical Act with practicing without a licence, and he later pleaded guilty. However, this didn't stop patients from visiting his office. Like I said, a lot of people did trust him, but that soon changed. In 1879, the body of a young, pregnant chambermaid, Catherine Hutchinson, nicknamed Kate, was found dead behind Thomas's office at 204 Dundas Street. She'd been murdered with a handkerchief that was soaked in chloroform. Thomas refused to help her with an abortion, instead urging her to accuse a local businessman of being the dad. Thomas claimed that Catherine threatened to poison herself when he refused to perform the abortion. But Catherine's family and roommate denied this. They were not buying it. He also claimed that Catherine had written a letter in which she named the businessman as the dad, but the signature and handwriting was not a match to hers. The letter was dismissed as forgery. Despite rumours and evidence against Thomas, the police took no further action. If you ever hear water running like in the background, that means someone's like running a bath. Just side note, Thomas took his business into Chicago. In August 1880, he was offering illegal abortions to various sex workers. Mary Ann Faulkner died under mysterious circumstances. Thomas had allegedly operated on her. He was arrested on charges of murder but escaped conviction again due to lack of evidence. In December 1880, Julia Stott died after getting treatment from Thomas. Her husband, Daniel, a railway agent, suspected an affair between Thomas and Julia. Julia was taking Thomas's own personal elixir to combat epilepsy. His patients swore by this treatment. Daniel sent his wife to Thomas's office for regular doses of the drug. When Daniel caught on to the affair, Thomas added the poison, a bit of strychnine, to the medicine. Daniel took the medicine and died on the 14th of June 1881. His death was attributed to epilepsy, but for some reason, Thomas wrote to the coroner stating that a pharmacist was responsible for Daniel's death. This is the thing about Thomas, he just passes on blame. He also requested the body to be exhumed. The coroner dismissed the letter, but the DA went on a limb and ordered the body to be exhumed. Poison was found in his stomach and Thomas's luck finally ran out. He was imprisoned at the Illinois State Penitentiary at Joliet. Although it was a life sentence, Thomas was released on good behaviour on the 31st of July 1891. He then went to Canada to collect an inheritance of £16,000 and left for England. He ended up in the South London slums. 2 days after his arrival, he met sex worker Matilda Clover, who was soon due to die from nux vomica poisoning. The same fate befell Ellen Downworth. Thomas killed them but was uncharged. He then killed 2 more women, Alice Marsh and Emma Shrivel. He accused his neighbours of the 2 murders. Thomas claimed to have very incriminating evidence against Joseph Harper, but he never shared this with police. That's because he was full of shit. He was lying. Joseph denied this and Thomas soon moved on. He bragged to others about his vast knowledge on the recent 2 murders and even took a man, John Haynes, on a tour of the murder scene. He did the same with Mr. McLintry, who turned out to be a police sergeant. Whoops. That is just karma biting you in the arse, pretty much. Mr. McLintry began surveillance on Thomas for obvious reasons. Another policeman also had an eye on him. Thomas was finally arrested. He was charged and found guilty for the death of Matilda Clover, and was sentenced to hang on the 15th of November 1892. He died at age 42. His last words were, "I am Jack," and then he was hanged. Because of this, some people think that he was actually Jack the Ripper. Others believe he had a body double. But then again, there's not much evidence to support it. The fact that this man targeted like sex workers and pregnant women is just sick. And what makes this case so sad and heartbreaking, the reason why police didn't get heavily involved initially is because majority of Thomas's victims were sex workers, and because of this, the police thought, oh, because of their line of work, we don't need to get involved. They brought this upon themselves. That was the mindset they had back then, and that is so upsetting. Can someone please explain this to me, give me an answer? Why is it that most serial killers are wealthy? Have you ever just noticed that? That's all for today. That was the case of Dr. Thomas Neill Cream. Feel free to leave a comment below what your thoughts are on this case, and as always, thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.